grey resin. It's quite a nice dark grey. Got it all poured into my printer, got printing, and did a few
In this video I'm going to test this resin with my standard hammer drop test,
nicely.
the hammer strike.
This stuff, yeah, much better feel.
I'm going to be reviewing this, the Nova 3D Tough Water-Washable Resin, to see how it performs compared to other resins and for 3D printed miniatures. Prints off these Tyranid proxies as well by Manufactory Games that are part of their latest frontier, so you'll be able to find that link down below. And I also printed off, obviously, the demons, so that way I could test those out later on. All of these prints came off looking great, and at this tabletop scale, they look absolutely perfect. The anecdotal part is it's really easy to work with as well. I didn't find it hard to wash, I didn't find it hard to clean or anything like that, which is always a bonus. And everything worked well on the supports. I didn't have anything that like fell off the supports or anything like that. One oddity, but a good oddity, I should say, is it comes off the build plate really easy. Like you literally just kind of almost tap your scraper against, I guess, the brim, and it just slides off. It's really easy to remove these from the build plate. It's also really easy to remove them from the supports as well. And I know that's not necessarily down to the resin you're using, but I printed some of these in this Nova 3D resin and some in just other resins as well.
When I started resin printing a couple of years ago, my understanding was that tough resins needed IPA washing. And since I wanted to design functional parts that needed to be durable, I decided I'd have to make the switch to IPA. And that really is the main reason why I switched from water washing to IPA washing. In fact, I made a video about it last year. But times change and resins have been rapidly developing over the last couple of years. So when Nova 3D saw all the resins I'd been testing, they reached out and asked if I'd be willing to try their water-washable tough resin. So a disclosure, Nova 3D did send me this resin for free, but they didn't ask to see this video before it was published. So all these tests and opinions are my own. Oh, and by the way, the label says clear, but it's actually grey, which is why I've had to put my own label up here. Yeah. Look, I had my doubts. Surely a water-washable resin meant some sort of trade-off. But as you can see from these hammer drop tests, this resin is performing very well. This is water-washable resin. I didn't think this was possible. I'm just dropping this 1.5 kilo hammer onto the part with its own weight. The part has a wall thickness of 3 millimeters, and I designed it to replace the original dust extraction fitting in this Festool track saw. So it needs to be durable and capable of withstanding knocks in the workshop while I'm working with the saw. And you can see that with successive hammer drops, this print still resists the impacts really well. That just looks really good. Okay, so we've got some scuff marks. And that's to be expected, I suppose. But this resin is holding up very well. Well, what can I say? Nova 3D, well done. That's excellent.
Down. Now, that's probably to be expected. Ultimately, I guess, if this resin was too strong, you wouldn't be able to sand it down. So, I don't know. Maybe this isn't going to be the answer for action figures. I don't know. We'll have to see on this one. Let's clip the rest of him together. Okay, I've stuck him together. Getting in one of the legs was a little bit tricky, but I got there in the end. So, yeah, as I said before, he seems to work okay. He feels much better. He feels a lot sturdier than when I made one out of sort of regular resin. Yeah, see, that sort of thing keeps happening with regular resin. This stuff, yeah, it's much better. Much better feel, sticks together much better. It's not grinding down quite the same way. So, now another problem actually you have with action figures is trying to get weapons to fit in their hands, because invariably they're never designed very well. The accessories always seem to be too big. So you have to sort of bend the fingers. Now again, you've got a little bit of flexibility with this type of resin. So, get his staff in his hand. There we go. And we haven't snapped the fingers. Now again, with other figures I've tried to make in the past, I have managed to snap the fingers the second I shove a gun in that hand. So let's just stick his gun in his hand. Yeah, not the greatest of fit, unfortunately, but I think you get the point. There we go, it goes in there. I haven't snapped his thumb off. So, I think for an action figure point of view, I think it's doing pretty well. And I mean, this is a fairly small figure. If you did a bigger figure, I think you would obviously have bigger joints and everything. So I haven't made the test easy, put it that way, by choosing the model that I chose. So one last thing I wanted to do is, again, expand on the moving parts idea. So we've seen that you can sort of slide something in fairly rudimentary, like a pin inside a figure joint. But what about something that actually has gears? So this is a print that I have downloaded. Again, I'll put the link in the description for this one. It's quite a cool idea. I think it's intended to be printed on a FDM printer. It's not really intended to be put on resin because of the moving parts. But with this type of resin, hopefully, that's a thing of the past. So we have a face, and then we have a skull underneath. So you've got gears on the side, and then if you push it up far enough, there should be a click as it clicks into place, and then the head can't go down. Now, that alone, having a mechanism that had a click into place, you wouldn't have been able to do. You would have been terrified every time that clicked. Now, I have been playing with this quite a bit before I started filming this, because I was keen to sort of put this through its paces a little bit. Yeah, it's absolutely working, and it's doing the job. I mean, obviously time will tell how many times, eventually will the plastic wear down, but for the time being, it seems to be perfectly fine. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So, in summary, I think this resin does exactly what it is intended to do. I'm pretty happy with it. The last thing I haven't talked about, just because I forgot about it until now, was the actual price of this stuff. Now,